Good morning. So today there's no screen. Let's see how different this feels.
Do you know what charades are?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what charades means?
Mm-hmm.
Charades is a game where you act out words.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell anybody what you're saying, you can't act it out.
Mm-hmm.
You can have somebody act out all of it.
Good idea. We have two groups,
Yeah.
and then we compete.
Compete.
Yeah.
Jim will do it.
There we go.
Okay. So today we will skip the sharing. Save that for next week, since we're already late. So where were we? Where are we? 24th. We finished 24th?
No.
25? Huh? When disputes arise as soon as, I think we finished that, so we are on the 25th. Ngeze tamje tawur langbe se samba nyamba nangdu chukba yi lenyin sunja rangla korwa yi tani mukju gyunam chungwar chas. So the translation is, when all who are close to me rise up as enemies. It is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for harboring harmful, evil intentions within. From now on, I will diminish deceit and guile. Is there any explanation needed? It's clear, isn't it? Yeah, so we are in this kind of situations where, we started to lose our friends. So we work towards making friends, and then we become close to them, and then slowly our friendship ends. And then there are also cases where we are kind to others. We did a lot of help to others, but instead of showing gratitude, the person kind of turns upon us. And I think in what is the one in the 8 verses? Kanla tagi penda ba rewa chewa kanshingi shindu mirik nöje nang shinyin tambra tawa shows. You expected that person to return the favor in a kind, yeah, but it turned out to be completely the opposite. You expect person to return your kindness, but there wasn't even an appreciation or gratitude. So we encounter that kind of situation. So when we are faced with this kind of challenges, this is, instead of getting angry at the person, we have to think that, in the past I must have done something. So here it says it is the result of our holding these evil intentions. It is the consequences of having this ill intention to harm others. So sometimes even for our own success, when we want to fulfill something, when we want to achieve something, we will engage in activities that can cause harm to others. So this is directly linked to self-cherishing attitude. Because of self-cherishing, we disregard the harms causing harm that we are causing onto others, because our concern is only to achieve our own goals. So in the process of achieving our goals, we end up harming others. In this life, of course, we think that, I haven't done any of this. But do you think? Yeah, sometimes in order to, let's say at the workplace, if you have colleagues, if you are competing for a promotion or a post, you may engage in sabotaging the other person. You may tell lies. You may say things. You may do things so that that person doesn't get there. And you hope that, oh, then I will get the post. Maybe those you are here may not have done it, but there are people who do that all the time. Office politics is really, really toxic, isn't it? Yeah, people really find it difficult. Some people cannot stand it. There is always this office politics. One person is always trying to please the bosses and say and do nice things. And then, of course, they will, in the meantime, they will report, oh, this person didn't do this, was doing this or this and that. All these are causing harm. So you have this intention. So you think when we are challenged or faced with this kind of situation, so instead of getting angry at the person or those who are causing these harms, we should understand it as consequences, a result of our earlier actions in the past. And then not only viewing the situation in that way, we also need to make a resolve. We also need to make a resolution or resolve not to engage in this kind of activity. That's the gist of it. We didn't miss. Did we miss anything? We are on the right track, yeah? Right stanza, okay. Then the verse 26 says, Tezong Tendang. So there are different versions. In one version it says Parju. So in another text it says Tezong Tendang. Muchu Nawe Time Korla Pame Pagwayi. Lenyen Sunja Rangla Korwayi. Tani Korto Leso Pangbar Chas. When I am sick with chronic ulcer and edema, is it? How do you read that? Edema. So it's the swelling filled with water, isn't it? That kind of a disease. It is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for wrongfully and with no conscience using others' possession. From now on, I will renounce acts such as plundering others' possession. So that is the English translation. But here in Tibetan it says Time korla pangme pakbayis. So we wear something called kor. Kor is when we is the offering. Offerings made to normally is sangha. So those who are monks, those who have vows. So people make offerings. So it's a very common thing. So in Tibetan culture, so monks live or survive on people's offering. Especially in Tibet and Bhutan, if there are those who wanted to do 3 years retreat, even just for a whole year to do retreat in the cave, they are never short of sponsors to support them. In Bhutan, there are so many retreaters who spend their life in the forest, in the cave, but they always have people who are carrying all those, the monthly ration or whatever it is, all the way uphill to offer. So they're happy to do that. So that's a very common thing. But I was told that in the West, to be a monk, especially Western monk, it is very difficult. Many Westerners who become monks, they couldn't survive because there's no they don't have this culture of making offering and supporting the Sangha community. Whereas in Tibetan culture, we have this to make offerings. So these offerings come with devotion. So when you are not qualified, So qualified in a sense that when you don't have your vows, if you are already, your vows are stained, or you no longer holds a vow, but you continue enjoying those offerings, that's we call kor. So that's very dangerous. In the Lamrim text, it described that the extent of the seriousness is that if somebody pour a boiling, what do you call the melted, what do you call that, iron, melted iron, the red one, if you pour that to somebody's throat, that is really serious, isn't it? But he says that compared to using up or enjoying on these kor, the offerings, that's much, much worse than drinking that boiled metal. So it is very dangerous. So not only monks, so of course at this life all of you are not ordained, but in the past you may have taken so many lives of audience. You have maybe nuns with vows, bhikshu and all this. So during that time we may have transgressed, we may have failed to keep our vows, but we continue enjoying those offerings. So he's saying that must be the result of those actions. And not only that, if those, let's say some people, especially in India and all this, people steal from the altar what is offered to Buddhas or all that images. So that is not yours. It is different from stealing ordinary belongings. It is the offerings that are offered to the three jewels. So if you consume that, that is like kor. From now on, I will renounce acts such as plundering others' possessions. So here they translate as others' possession, but this is a very specific possessions. Luburum gone lula tebece, tamzi nyambe chawa chebayi, lenin sunja rangla korwayi, tanimigi lena pangbur chas. Tanimigi lena pangbur chas. When my body is struck suddenly by contagious disease, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for committing acts that undermined my solemn pledges. From now on, I will renounce non-virtue. So here it says when we are suddenly down with all this kind of contagious disease. But this is quite obvious that these are actually result of karma. Because some people, when they are in that kind of infectious, contagious area, some people get infected. Some people get sick, but others don't. That actually suggests that there is a karma role. If you have the karma to experience that kind of sickness, you get it. But those who don't have the karma, they don't get it. They spend hours, more hours there. But some people, even from a distance, they already got the sickness. Let's say here someone came with a flu. Some may get flu, some may not get flu. Even though we said, oh, immune system, whatever that is. But there is something to do with the karma. So when this happens, it says that it is not about your immune system, it's saying that it is because of our karma, the past action.
So what about our immune system?
Well, it doesn't have to be either or.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
it's
Of
not
course,
either or.
why you have that special, you mean that kind of immune system may be effective in that particular sickness, but if you go elsewhere, maybe you are prone to that, you will get that sickness, maybe that, not this sickness. And of course you can explain that why you have that immune system, strong immune system in the first place is also karma.
Right.
So it boils down to karma. So what is the karma that is giving this kind of consequences, giving rise to this kind of? It says that for committing acts that undermined my solemn pledges, is it? Pledges. So this in Tibetan we call it tamsik. So tamsik, there are two syllables. Tam jawa means you are pledged, you vowed. And then tsik means the word. So whatever you have pledged to do, but you fail to do. So this includes from the refuge precepts. There are many refuge precepts. Do we do that all the time? No. When we took refuge, we have agreed, we have taken this vow to abide by these precepts. But do we do that? Most of us even don't remember what are the precepts. And then of course we receive empowerment, initiations. It comes with all these commitments. Do we do that? The Bodhisattva vows, tantric vows. Most of the time we fail to fulfill this. So you think these are the results. Because of this, we ended up having this kind of sicknesses. So from now on, I will renounce non-virtue. So here when we say non-virtue as general, and specifically I will try to fulfill, I will try to follow whatever commitments I have made. Verse 28. Sheja Gunla Lotu Mongbetse Shautu Yoba Chula Chebai Lenin Sunja Rangla Kurwai Tani Keso Sherab Kombar Chas. When my intellect becomes ignorant of all fields of knowledge, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for persisting in activities that must be cast aside. From now on, I will cultivate the insights of learning and so on. So here says when you are kind of mentally challenged, when you have low IQ, when you have difficulty understanding even the smallest, even the easiest concepts. So for many people, it is easy to understand something meaningless, some other conventional concepts and ideas. But when it comes to understanding the Dharma concepts, no matter how many times you attend the class, still weak. So this is saying when this happens, when we find ourselves in that kind of a low, intellectually low, is it? Intelligent, is it? Unintelligent. Yeah, kind of a cognitive impairment. So not really cognitive impairments. So I also have difficulty understanding, especially when it comes to tenets. When you try to explain the different views of different schools, it's like your brain is really frying there. So difficult. So in these kind of situations, you don't have to beat yourself up. So there is a reason for that. That is for persisting in activities that must be cast aside. This is a very interesting word. It says, 28, it says, the activities which are not meaningful, not Dharma activities, but the other things that are not Dharma activities, we treat them, we give so much importance. So Sangdo Rinpoche explains by saying that if we observe our day, what we do in our daily, our routine, we have so many important things. But Rinpoche says that the least important thing that we normally leave at the end of the day is our prayer, is our commitments. Other things comes first. Must watch TV. In India, it's very funny. One time there was this famous Indian TV series called Kasoti. It was so popular even amongst Tibetans, even elderly Tibetans. So when that show comes on, everything stops. Everything stops. Whatever you are doing, oh, Kasoti is on. People just scurries, rush towards the TV room. Whatever you are doing, it has to wait. All has to wait. All have to wait. So this shows that, we give this kind of importance. We ascribe this kind of importance to meaningless things. From the Dharma point of view, these are meaningless. Then food. When it comes to our food, we cannot put it aside. That's it. I must do. We have so many must-do things. But the Dharma practice is not one of the must-do things. So this is what it is saying. So when we talk about when my intelligence becomes ignorant of all fields. So another example is, remember the Papa Lamchungpa, the story. He is so dull and so slow that he cannot even memorize 2 syllables. If you teach him the first syllable, by the time he gets the first one, he has already forgotten the second one. That kind of dull-witted. So here is saying that for persisting in activities that must be cast aside. From now on, I will cultivate the insight of learning. So here is emphasizing the importance of engaging in these 3 types of trainings or 3 types of understanding. So first one is you need to hear, you need to listen. Töbe chönam shebarajur, töbe tigle tawajur, töbe toma yimba pong, töbe tori tobarajurs. This talks about the qualities of hearing when you attend and hear Dharma talks. So the benefit is that first thing is Töbe chönam shebayur. You understand about things. Understanding comes from listening, all this. And töbe tigle tobarche. So when you listen, you will understand what is to be abandoned and what is to be cultivated. Because of that, you are able to refrain the negative actions. Because you now understand what is important and what is not important, you are able to make the choices and only focus on what is meaningful and what is important. And then eventually, it will lead us to nirvana or enlightenment. So this emphasizes the importance. We need to study. That's why the other day when I was talking to Tibetan parents, so I was highlighting the importance of Tibetan parents to study. Because many of the parents, they come and complain that, oh, my children, they are not showing any interest in Dharma. So on one reason, of course there are many reasons. One reason is that the parents, they themselves don't understand Dharma. When children comes and ask questions, they have no answer. And Tibetan parenting style is more of an authoritarian style, not authoritative style. The authoritative style is where you really explain why we do this, why we don't do this. The Tibetan parenting is very, I always say this. So if let's say a 2-year child, dining table, if there's a hot pot, if the child touches this thing, smack. And say, don't touch. That's all. The child has no idea why he or she cannot touch. Whereas those who adopt the authoritative parenting, they will explain, you cannot touch this because this is hot, it will burn and all this. One time I was in Whole Food, where they have a section you can buy and eat there. So I bought a lunch and I was eating there. And there was this guy with his, I think it's maybe 2 years old son there. So they finished, I was watching them, they finished. And then the father went to dispose the plates. And as he went to dispose, the son, that baby, shouted after him to say, throw in this one. He came back and explained him in detail. There are 3 different cans, where one is for recycle, one is for the... I was like, wow. Tibetan parents, no, you won't know. No need to know. So that's the problem. And one reason is like when the children comes, so children have all these programs, Dharma program, they go. And then when they come back, they have questions. So when they ask the question to their parents, they have no answer. And then they kind of, no need to ask. So many of the Tibetan parents, when they say my child or children are not interested in Dharma, what they are really saying is they are not doing any recitation. But studying Buddhism doesn't mean that, it's not only about recitation, doing mantra and all that. It is about understanding. So when you yourself don't have any understanding, how are you going to teach them? So there was a family in Malaysia, so they have this Sunday Dharma for Kids program. So her son goes to the class, and the son comes back, and then, oh, we were taught this, oh, what is this, what is that? Mother couldn't answer. So she started coming to class. This is the way. Mainly because she couldn't answer. She wanted to be able to help the child. So this is basically the importance of studying. So from now on, I will cultivate the insight of learning and so on. And verse 29. Chola chose nigi numbe tse tambe chola tiba sagwayi lenyin sunja rangla kurwayi tani chojir kawa jebar cha. When I am overwhelmed by sloth while practicing Dharma, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for amassing obscurations to the sublime Dharma. From now on, I will undergo hardships for the sake of the Dharma. How true is this? When I am overwhelmed by sloth while practicing Dharma. So when it comes to doing other things, other worldly things, we are up and about. We are fully awake. But when it comes to Dharma activities, especially doing prayers, sleep comes. Is it true? It's true with me. Back in monastery, I just have to read 1-2 pages to put me to bed, to sleep. So that's why we have saying that, oh, if you have difficulty sleeping, do meditation or do read some Dharma thing. Sleep comes. And then there are people who gamble at casinos. Night after night, they can play, they can go on. They can do with 1 hour sleep
Because they don't even know. The casino is so big, they don't even know.
They
the
don't even
taxes.
know.
Yeah.
But you see, they can go on. Even though they know there is already, night, all this, they can still go on. But if you ask these people to do half an hour of mantra recitation, ask them to sit in a class. There are people who, very active all this thing, but when they attend any kind of this Dharma activities, the sleep overcomes them. So he said that this is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for amassing obscurations to the sublime. Tambe chola tipa sakpa yis. So this one, when we say obscuration, so this includes disrespecting Dharma, the actual Dharma, or the texts, scriptures. Remember, one of the precepts of going for refuge, taking refuge in Dharma, is to avoid disrespecting any Dharma text. So this happens when you don't know about this. You will leave the text on the floor. You will cross over. You will have things, those mantra, whatever is in your pockets. You bring that in the toilet, and all these all disrespect. And then another one, very dangerous one, is what is called chopong gile. Chopong literally means abandoning Dharma. So in here, when we say abandoning Dharma, is mainly this biased view. Because you are a Giluk, you kind of look down on other tradition. Giluk is the best. The other Nyingma tradition, whatever they're teaching is not good. And then if you are Mahayana, we are Mahayana. The Theravada, their teachings, And then if you are Vajrayana practitioner, Tantra is good, but then others are not good. So that kind of, through that kind of discrimination, that is very bad. So they were saying that these are the results when we have this kind of difficulty having this, difficulty, how to put it, difficulty having this attentiveness or attention in Dharma practices is because of engaging in these activities. So from now on, I will undergo hardships for the sake of Dharma. So when we say hardship here, Chinje chola maguba sok chung se kyang mijibar chogi chido kawa tangdo lemben gone pangbar chas. Some of these notes, I wrote it, but I don't really understand why I wrote it there. Yeah, so basically, no matter how hard and difficult it is, how challenging it is, I will still bear the hardship and I will engage. So one example can be like when it comes to Dharma, like Lama Atisha. How many months of journey just to receive the teachings from Lama Salingpa. And then he was there for 12 years. These are really for, Dharma. So they can put up with hardship when it comes to Dharma. For us to go, let's say if we moved our center to somewhere else and it takes 1 hour, I don't want to go. It's an hour's, drive, and then traffic is bad, and on weekends, some roads are closed. So you see, it's like this. But those great beings, those days, there is no cars. You have to walk. You have to go by those boats. It's really dangerous and risky journey, but they do it. They put up with all this hardship. So that's here we are saying from now on, we will also follow their example and will bear any hardship for the sake of Dharma.
Rinpoche, I mentioned this to other people, but when I first started learning with Dharma, my teacher was in northeast Minneapolis, and I lived in Burnsville. And I would drive up once a week and meet with him. And when this was during the winter, I said, I won't be able to come next week because my car's being serviced. And I'm not, he said, he very quietly said to me, "Is there a bus?" I believe there is. I'll see you next week. He said, "Okay."
Yeah.
For me, it was a kind of arduous journey to come to the bus, transfer and all that. I said, it was worth it.
How many hours was that commute?
It was probably an hour.
One way?
One way, yeah, each way. It was worth it. It was a good lesson.
Okay, let's stop here for our tea. So we are at verse 30. Nyomo laga namyeng chewetse meda korwe nimi makum bes lenye chunja rangla korwai tani kowar yijung chewar chas. When I delight in afflictions and am greatly distracted, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for not contemplating impermanence and the defects of cyclic existence. From now on, I will increase my dissatisfaction with cyclic existence. So here we have two situations. One is this delight in afflictions. So I think delight is not really, we are prone to afflictions. And then other one is greatly distracted. So when I think most of us have this condition, let's put it this way. So I think from our own experience, we can tell that afflictions is so easy to arise. Effortlessly it comes. Whereas the positive state of minds, compassion, loving kindness, tolerance, very hard. So when we say delight in afflictions, the examples are like when we see a nice car, there is this covetousness arises. Oh, I wish I possess that. When we see a nice house, oh, that house is nice. How wonderful if I have that. So these are the attachment. And then when we come across people whom we have difficulty with, naturally there is this repulsion. We have this kind of discomfort, unease, and sometimes anger, jealousy as common thing. I think I mentioned this tendency, we have this tendency. Those who are doing better, we have jealousy against them. And those who you feel that we are on the same level, there's sense of competitiveness. And then those who you perceive as below you, we have this view of disparaging view, looking down on them. So that is the tendency. So these, you don't need to put effort. You don't need to sit down and close your eyes to engender this. This comes about naturally. So it's when this happens. And then another is am greatly distracted. There is so much distraction. We have already discussed. So, all this, of course, is Dharma teaching. So, only worthy of doing is Dharma practice. Other than that, from the Dharma point of view, are all distraction. So, how seriously do we engage in Dharma practices? So there is a saying, a stanza by Kadamba masters. Shucheju mati nishu des, shuchedo chedo nishu tals, majung shini nishu tal, mezi tongba sebe namtar yins. Got it? So this is talking about this is my life story, my biography, whatever it is. It is the empty biography, empty story of my life. So normally Tibetan average age is 60. So he's saying that the first 20 years, it never crossed my mind to practice Dharma. So 20 years passed by without even crossing my mind to practice. And then when you reach 20 and after that, you started to realize that, oh, I need to practice Dharma. But then you have other obligations. So now I have to do other things. I will do. Saying that, another 20 years gone by. And then you're already 40. And then you start to say that, oh, now it's too late. I couldn't do. Saying that, another 20 years pass by. And then death comes. Your life ends. So this is what we are. This is in our own life. Sunday, of course, 2 hours we commit for Dharma classes. But how many hours do we commit to Dharma practices? Those who are working, 8 hours. If we are doing more than one shift, 16 hours, or maybe 12 hours, it's gone. Then we need to sleep. Minimum 6 hours or 8 hours. That's also gone. Then we have to eat. Then we have to watch TV. We have to watch movie. We have to meet with people. We need to gossip. So all that our goes. So here he is saying that there's a lot of distraction. So this is because of the weapon of the evil karma turning upon me for not contemplating impermanence and the defect of cyclic existence. So in the three aspects of three principal aspects of the Mahayana path. So it says, Tejur nyega tsela long meba yila kombe sedi nangshe do lende melo kobe tunyen yang sambe chime nangshe do. So when we fail to contemplate on how fortunate that we have these the leisure and this precious body, and how fragile it can be, and how our life can just end any minute. When we fail to contemplate, when we fail to have this conviction on this point, then we continue attached to this life's pleasures, this life's happiness. So we fail to generate the wish to do more than or beyond this life's happiness. And then when we fail to reflect on how karma works, because even if we are able to secure a good rebirth, but still that is under the influence of karma and delusion. So as long as you are not free from the influence of karma and affliction or delusion, you will suffer. So when we fail to gain that realization, we will not think of getting out of this cyclic existence. So that's why I say we fail to contemplate on the impermanence nature of the things. We always think that things will last, so that's why we continue doing this. So that is the consequence, that is the result, why we are like this, so much distraction. Some of the great lamas, from young, they are really rarely distracted other things. They are always doing prayers. All the time. Like His Holiness. Practice. Even meeting people, there's always practice. While eating, we see images. Reading texts all the time. So normally it's like for most of the people, most of the monks or this thing, when we graduate, when we finish our studies, it's like, okay, completed. Everything packed, nicely wrapped in those cloths there, and it's all there, finished. But like His Holiness, time reading. That's same with Sangdo Rinpoche. Every minute, every time when there is a spare time, either they will be reading, they will be studying, they will be practicing. So we fail to do that. So that's why we have difficulty. Afflictions are very easy to arise. And of course, these are all due to a habit. The more you engage in that, that becomes your second nature, that becomes your habit. So from now on, I will increase my dissatisfaction with cyclic existence. So this is called renunciation. I will try to develop renunciation. So what is renunciation? In the same text, the three principal aspects. Tedar gombe kowe punzo la yimun kichi zamnyang migishings ninzen gundo tabo tönyin lo chungna teze nyejung keba las. So when it talks about the what is the word now? The measurement of whether you have cultivated the measure of whether you have cultivated renunciation is when, by having trained in that way we talked about, there is no arising even for a second of attraction to the perfection of cyclic existence, and all day and night the intention seeking liberation arises, then the thought of renunciation has been generated. So when you kind of lose interest in this world's pleasures, this life's pleasures, the samsaric pleasures, and every second, every moment when you aspire, when this strong wish to achieve liberation is consistently there, that's when you have generated the thought of renunciation. So he said, from now on, I will increase my dissatisfaction with the cyclic existence and then develop renunciation, the thought of renunciation. So all this, when we say, this is the result, so indirectly saying that I will stop engaging in this because I don't want to experience that consequences, that result, unpleasant experience. So now that you know, now that we know what causes them, so we should put an end to creating the causes and conditions. So when we say from now on I won't engage in this, but instead I will do that, do the opposite. Then verse 31. Chizuk chejang mandro shobetse, chidar chejang mandro shobetse, ledan junje kedu seba yi, lenyin chunja rangla kurwa yi, tani sunam sola bebar chas. When I continue to regress despite all my efforts, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for defying karma and the law of cause and effect. From now on, I will turn away from forces of darkness. So here says, I continue to regress. So this is in worldly field as well as spiritual field. So in worldly fields, some people, despite all their effort, things don't go right. Everything goes wrong. They work so hard to achieve that goal, but every time it fails. And then for other people, you see they don't put much effort, but always successful. That is because you have merits, isn't it? Some people, even if they start one business, bankrupt. Start another, try another one. That doesn't happen. And then some people, without effort, it happens. So when this happens, then of course, when it comes to spiritual practices, when we put so much effort, but there is no realization to show, we fail to gain any attainment or realization. So when this happens, so we're saying that we need to understand that this is the result of defying karma and the law and effect. So here the English word is defying. Tibetan word is kesu. Kesu means knowingly engaging in that. That is serious. If you do out of ignorance, it's okay. Is there a case like when you in the court you have this passion, when you do out of passion, you can plead to cause to the court, and then insanity pleading, isn't it? Plead. Is there such thing as ignorant pleading? No,
Yeah,
Okay.
The rest of you get.
Okay.
It's fairly common for people to have people say ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Okay.
That is applied in individual practices, but that's basically the way.
Yeah. So in Dharma, there is exception. So if you do out of ignorance, the consequences is lighter. But of course, we say that kebe tikwa chi yang yang, lumbu tikwa yang yang chi. Those who commit negative karma out of ignorance, initially, it is quite light because you did it because you didn't know. But because you are a bit dull, you are not that intelligent, you don't know about purification, so you fail to do the purification, it multiplies. Then it becomes heavy. Whereas the intelligent ones, even though they did it knowingly, initially it is heavy. But because they understand how karma multiplies, they engage in purification. Because of that, even though initially it is heavy, but it becomes lighter. So here when it says, for defying karma and the law of cause and effect. So when you engage in actions knowingly, even though you know that this is negative action, this is not right thing to do, but you still continue, you still go on to do that, that's saying that it is the result of engaging in karma knowingly, negative karma knowingly. From now on, I will turn away from forces of darkness. Tani sunam sola bebrachas. So there are two different versions. One is Tani sole sola bebrachas. So this is more or less similar to the first, the earlier one. Tani chuje kawa chebracha. So one version is like, from now on, I will continue engaging in meritorious actions or positive actions. Another one is, no matter how challenging and difficult and hardship it may be to really follow or really abide by karma, I will bear that difficulty and challenges. And now we are on verse 32. Rimdu cheze lobor songweze nawe chola redo chebayi lenye chunja rangla korwayi tani nawe chole dobar chas. When all the religious rituals I perform go amiss, it is weapon of evil karma turning upon me for investing hope and expectation in forces of darkness. From now on, I will turn away from forces of darkness. So you don't see it. I have here image of kind of black magic or sorcery thing here, the image. So Tibetans like to do puja and prayers. Some people, when they have a unusual dream, something strange dream, the first thing they want to consult and do this divination. We have a saying, moji jamna deji. So when you do divination, there is always some recommendations. So we do a lot of pujas. Of course, puja prayer helps. But when it says, when all the religious rituals I perform go amiss, when you find it ineffective, no matter how many times you perform pujas, no matter how many monks you invite, no matter how high lama attends your puja, but when it failed to produce any results, so this is the sign that we have, in the past, we have invested our hope and expectations in forces of darkness. So instead of entrusting everything to three jewels, we have resorted to other forces and other helps. So that is quite common. So that's why Kadam Lama Bas say that, Kadam masters say that, we make requests to three jewels, but often we find that our requests are unanswered. We feel we make these requests, but nothing happens. Of course, there is a role of karma, but it says it's mainly because we don't have that devotion, that faith, unshaken faith. So there is a clear sign. How can we tell that we don't have that? Kadam masters say that because if someone who reads palm readers, or those fortune tellers, if you go and see them, and if they says, there is you may die this year, you should do this and that, we will take it very seriously. We will do all kinds of what is the word? Remedy. Yeah, we will look for all kinds of remedies. Precautions. We will even further ask, what should I do? So if the advice is do this and this, we will be very diligent in following these instructions. But Buddha has already said that life is impermanent. You can die any minute. If you want to be happy, cultivate virtue. If you don't want to experience unhappiness, stop engaging in negative actions. Buddha has said that long time ago. We have volumes of that, and we read it. We attend teachings, and lamas repeat that all the time. No, we don't do that. We don't take it seriously. This shows that even though we think that we have so much faith in three jewels, actually not. We give more credence to is it? To the fortune teller than the Buddha. So from now on, I will turn away from forces of darkness, and I will fully entrust the three jewels. And one of the precepts is that whatever I do, I will entrust, I will rely on three jewels. That is one of the precepts. 33. Kunjo sumla sowa matipse sanje pala yichi. Oh, this is the next one. Okay, good. Lenyin chunja ranla krowa tani kunjo kona tembar chas. So this is mainly taking refuge in other objects of other I won't say other things outside three jewels. When my prayers to the three jewels are impotent, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for not entrusting myself to the Buddha's way. From now on, I will rely solely on the three jewels. So we will not seek refuge other than the three jewels. So in the past, we have we failed to trust the three jewels alone. We sought a refuge. It's more of a refuge. So you can respect, you can make requests, but refuge is different. You are entrusting your whole welfare onto that person or onto that object of refuge. So from now on, I will rely solely on the three jewels. And another example of another example to suggest that we lack faith in three jewels is that Buddha said that Chimbe Longju Chimgite. If you want to be rich and wealthy, you say engage in act of giving. Our approach is the other way around. I want to become wealthy, I must hoard, I must give, I shouldn't give. If I give, then I will become poor. So that also shows that we don't. But of course, when it comes to generosity, giving is not really giving. Doesn't require to give everything. It is all here, isn't it? Kedi drowa u powe chimbe paru chinina tadung droten yonangon kyoba chida paru chin doba tamje deje de kyewo kuna tongsim je chimbe paru chin song des. If the perfecting generosity requires to eliminate poverty, then it says that all the past Buddhas have not perfected generosity because we still have poverty in the world. So when we say perfecting generosity, perfection, engaging in perfection of generosity, it doesn't mean that we have to eliminate poverty. It is that, sincerely this wish, this real, genuine wish to giving all your possessions to others, that counts. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't give, just mentally, do and then, you don't actually give. That's also not true. By basically saying that it is not one way. Lenin Tsunja Rangla Kowayi Tani Gunjukun. Okay, so we have covered that. 34. When my imagination arises as when my imagination, okay, sorry, I haven't read. Namdo tip down. So there's also different version. In other translations, nyamdik. Namdo tip down. Tundo langbe tse. Lata nga la tikba sakba yi. Lenyen sunja rangla korwa yi. Tani namdo tamje shombar chas. So here it says all the English version. When my imagination arises as veils, so veil is here is like a defilement or obscurations, and possessor spirits, or tip. I see tip. It is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for accumulation negative karma against deities and their mantras. From now on, I will vanquish all negative conceptions. So here it says that all our imagination, we call namdok. So here the other translation says conceptual construction. So it's more of a superstition. So when superstition, actually a superstition, but it comes about in the form of tip. Tibetan we call it tip. The English word for the tip in this sense, I think it's epileptic. That condition. Epilepsy. Yeah. When you have your adjective epilepsy. Yeah. When your face, crooked is it? It goes and then seizures. Kind of seizure. We call it tip. And then also it appears as spirit hums. So when somebody is sick, they will say, oh, there's some spirit hum involved and all this. So these are all because of transgressing our holy vows. We have taken so many vows, but if we fail to keep them, so that is the consequences. So here when they say deities and their mantras, in the commentary it says it is transgression of those vows. So from now on I will vanquish all negative conceptions. So here when we say negative conceptions, is like all these are conception which are not according to Dharma. So when we have this kind of a superstition, we tend to see things. I told you about this story, the Malaysian family. So they invited me to expel a ghost in their house. So they said that they went to see a medium and they said, oh, there is a ghost in your house. And they said, oh, we saw it as well. So I went there and I asked him, where did you see the ghost? He said, oh, I saw in the bathroom. So I asked her, when did you see that? Is it after the medium told you or before that? So after the medium told me. It was okay, there was no ghost before the medium told. So when the medium told that, oh, there is a ghost, you started to look for things. When there is a reflection, you think, oh, that is the ghost.
Well, why did they go to medium in the first place?
The child has some problem. His child is having, actually it's more of a autism. Child has this autism. But somehow, they wanted to consult the mediums, So, So the medium, of course, that one is just interested in making money. He said, oh, there's a ghost, if you want me to drive that away, it will cost this and this. So that person obviously is just interested in making money. So when we have this kind of superstition, and I think in this psychology there's something called self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe that there's something else, it tends to fulfill your this. Yeah, so that is Wang me mitar che so kyambe se lama la so nene tewayi lenyen sunja rang la kurwayi tani kanya yune yung mi chas. So this, when I am lost and wander like a powerless man, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for driving others such as my guru away from their abodes. From now on, I will expel no one from their home. So this is where some people find in a situation where they cannot remain in one place. They have to, even though it is not their wish, but they have to move. They cannot stay in one place long for some whatever reason. They have to keep moving. And then some, of course, authorities come and relocate you, like Tibetan situation. We didn't want to exile. We were chased away from our country. So that kind of situation. So in this kind of situation, it says, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for driving others, driving away your guru, driving away other people. And in terms of animals, when we drive away bees for honey, that we do all the time. Because bees like to make their hives or nests in those, especially when you have this kind of veranda where there's open, so they like to make the nest there. You call make nest or hive? Nest, is it? Nest. Bee nest. Hive, beehive. Okay. So the only
nest for the beehive.
Beehive, yeah. So one way to drive them away is to smoke them. That's we do, because we don't want. In monastery, they like to make this. But what happens is, if you have a beehive there, and the morning when we wake up early, like 5, and when you switch on the light, all that comes in there. And then evening, if you switch on the veranda light there, it's all, instead of sleeping there, it attracts. It is attracted to the light, and then they die. So that's why when they started to run, we have to drive them away. So here it says that's the reason. And then, what else? Ant hill, is it? Where you have these ants. If you dig and then displace their place, that's also. And we have taken the bird of, what is that one that goes after the ants? There's this animal.
Like an anteater.
Anteater, is it?
Right. It's not a bird, but an anteater.
Yeah, bats.
Bat, yeah, something, yeah, it's like a mammal.
There's a lot of birds in the ants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that just goes anteater, yeah. We must have taken that life. And how many times we have dislocated, is it? Their place, their abode. And then bird nests. When we were kids, we liked to go and look for bird nests, and then we just do that. Have you done it? You are shaking. Yeah, so these are, and then of course, now the people are coming here, seeking asylum and all that, because in their country, they cannot stay there. So these kinds of actions that we have engaged in the past, because as a result of this, then we also experience similar consequences. So from now on, I will expel no one from their home. So what about those officials who are involved in, what do they call it, issuing those
Evacuation.
yeah, when
Eviction.
evictions, yeah. When they fail to pay the mortgage or this thing, they issue a notice to evict. Yeah,
Evict.
It's an eviction
Evict.
notice.
yeah. So what do you think? Are they creating this kind of karma?
Some, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's like butchers, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So verse 36. When calamity... Okay, let me read the Tibetan first. Sasiri la so mendo chungwe tse tamzi tsudim tsushi masungwe lenyen sunja rangla kowa tani tamzi la so tsangwar chas. When calamities such as frost and hailstorms occur, it is the weapon of evil karma turning upon me for failing to properly observe my pledges and moral precepts. From now on, I will keep my pledges, vows pure. So this is when we are stuck with the natural disasters. So here only the example, the explicit example is the hailstorm. So in Tibet, it is very common. So the lamas, the Rinpoches, have this one responsibility. When you go to Tibet, especially when you visit Tibet, in summer or spring or summertime, you have the responsibility to prevent hailstorm because it destroys their harvest, especially the barley. So when there is sign of these things, Lama will be informed of all these things, so you have to do. So when I went to Tibet, there were incidents, but nothing happened. But it's not because of my power, but that I wasn't in that situation, in a bad situation. But yeah, it is, yeah, you have to do it.
Say more.
So we have all
So-
forest fires in California.
Yeah, so that's why I'm still waiting for the call to bring down rain. But nobody called me, so I'm just kidding. Yeah, so
No, but
it,
seriously, there are some of that, it's been said, and it's been said also in the native people, they can do that as well.
yeah, what I know about is there are lamas who has kind of control over this, what do you call, natural, this,
The elements.
yeah, this yeah, rain or whatever it is. So I know of one Rinpoche. I was told that he is very effective in stopping the rain. So one time I was in Yudu Monastery. So it was the Kamaba's birthday celebration. So monastery has prepared those things, but it started to rain. So they have approached this Rinpoche, and Rinpoche has they have to make some ritual, dharmas, whatever it is, and we had the best day. Yeah. These are true. Some people do really have power over this, yes. Yeah. So but they said that, and also when I was in Bhutan, so my parents, they told me that we grow this gongbo kalagre. There's a particular, I don't know what it's called, this seed. So we grow that. So that one, you need rain. So what they will do is, so that first you have to do the seedling, and then you have to replant. So when the time comes to do this, so they used to go to this hermit there, and to say, oh, today I am planting gongbo. So could you please make sure that I have rain? It says that there will rain on that day. Otherwise, if it doesn't rain, finish. All dries. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying I'm still waiting for the call. Okay, let's stop here. Thank you.
You should do the short mandala offering.